All right. Woo, let's get into it. No time to waste. Pull my chair. What's up, everybody? It's me, J-Rod, the filmmaker, former film major, frequent fighting gamer from Philadelphia, and we are back with another reaction video. We are back with another review video. Well, actually, technically, we are back with both because we are back with another first and final. If you've never seen this show before, it's two-part. The first part is my first reaction to a show or movie or other, and then the second part is going to be my final review of that show or movie or other once I finally have seen the entire thing and I can review it. And I've done this a lot of times in the past, man. We started off with the Mortal Kombat movie. We've done so many Marvel movies that, I mean, I can't even count them, to be completely honest. But we've done things outside of there as well. My first and final for the movie Nope, the last Jordan Peele film to come out, and I guess I'm hoping you guys would have seen this by now. You should by the time this video comes out. But I did a first and final for Vince Staples' show on Netflix. Vince Staples' new show titled The Vince Staples Show. And so, yeah, I'm just trying to, expand out and review / react to a lot of other things because there are not going to be that many Marvel movies this year. I don't know if there are going to be that many DC movies either. We're kind of setting into that superhero fatigue unless it's like an original new take on a character, story, or trope. We're kind of getting tired of the traditional superhero stuff. But we do have one thing dropping. We do have one Marvel movie that we know about dropping this year. If there's another one, I'm completely blanking on it right now. But I think this is a pretty light year for Marvel as far as movies. And so Deadpool is probably going to have to carry this entire year. And, it was only a couple years ago that Deadpool was not considered a Marvel movie in the same way that other Marvel movies are considered a Marvel movie, because he was a 20th Century Fox Marvel property and not a MCU Marvel property. But since then, I mean, there's been a lot of acquisitions, including Disney Marvel's acquisition of 20th Century Fox and their Marvel side. So this is the first official collaboration of that former 20th Century Fox Marvel with the new Marvel regime. Maybe this will cure everyone of their superhero fatigue, or maybe this will be the final nail in the coffin. But either way, we are ready to check out. Actually, we're not ready yet. Now, the rumor was that this trailer was supposed to drop at the Super Bowl, and it very well may have, but I did not see it at the Super Bowl. I did watch the Super Bowl, but I didn't see all of it, I wasn't really paying attention that much. So yeah, if this did drop at the Super Bowl, then we completely missed it. But either way, that works out because now I can do my first reaction right now for you guys. And so yeah, let's get into the Deadpool. It's called Deadpool and Wolverine. Is that the title of the movie? Alright, well, I guess this is where we're going with. Not Deadpool 3, not Deadpool : something else. Deadpool and Wolverine official teaser. Let's do it.
Happy birthday to you.
Okay. Oh, my favorite characters are there. Yeah, the whole gang is there.
For sure.
Minus one person that we're not going to talk about.
That is because of each and every one of you. I'm the luckiest man alive.
Oh, that dude. Was it Bill? Bob? Dopinder?
Wade Wilson?
Who's asking?
Who are they supposed to be? I'm going to take the glasses off. They're a little
Is that supposed to
dusty.
be scary? Pegging isn't new for me, friendo, but it is for Disney.
Okay. Wait, is this the TVA? Hold on.
Mr. Wilson, you appear to have soiled yourself.
And the dude
unconscious.
from
I wasn't
Succession.
unconscious. Who are you? Why am I here?
Walk with me.
He is at the TVA. What?
Wait. You are special.
This is
This
interesting.
is your chance.
Interesting choice
Be
to
a hero
retread the
among
TVA
heroes.
waters for Deadpool. Oh, okay. This is him breaking the fourth
Your
wall
little cinematic
within the
universe
fourth wall.
is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
Okay, well. Interesting. Is that the 20th Century Fox logo in the background? See, that's the thing. They're getting way too meta. Oh, God.
God, I love this part. Wait!
They're not showing any Wolverine yet, besides that one shot of him. Okay, is this it here? The hero shot.
Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Damn. Okay, they are calling it Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's coming July 26th. You know, here's the thing.
Happy birthday.
It's been a while since the last Deadpool movie. Let me turn this down a bit. I didn't mean all the way, but mostly. It's been a while since the last Deadpool movie, so I was kind of worried that, did we still want it? Do we still need it? Does it still work? Is the biggest question. And it kind of looks like it still works. I'm not going to lie. This looks like it's going to be obviously very meta, very like, you know, joking on the MCU itself, joking on the entire genre. But I think this one is going to be like a good story, I think. It looks like they're actually crafting a pretty good story here, because if I think about the first two Deadpool movies, the first one kind of had an okay story, a pretty memorable story. The second one, I don't think the story was memorable at all. I really don't remember much of what happened in the second one. I just know, you know, quip after quip, funny thing after funny thing, and then boom, you have a whole movie. But this one looks like, you know, has a pretty strong story, even though it does seem like it's retreading Loki's waters, but giving it to Deadpool. I don't mind that, actually, though, because if you did this same, like, Loki plot line, bringing a character to the TVA, making them aware of their entire existence, every different character would have a different version, you know, of what that looks like for them. So this Deadpool story, I'm not really worried about it being too similar to Loki's story, because, I mean, look at it. Also, I'm excited for the actual, like, action choreography, the fight scenes, the stunt work. It looks like they're going pretty ham on all that.
God, I love this part. Wait!
And regardless of who the character is, I like to see really good stunts, fights, good fight choreography, and good stunt performances. It just works, you know. That's what works in any situation, regardless if you got a character with powers and lasers and out there, or someone more grounded like Deadpool. Either way, I'm excited for it. This looks cool. I was not expecting Deadpool and Wolverine, but now we know. That is our official title, Deadpool and Wolverine. They kind of buried the lead a little bit. We still didn't see much Wolverine, just enough for us to be like, can't wait. So they didn't spoil anything. They didn't overshare. They're still keeping us like wanting a little bit on this. I actually got to say, I really did enjoy that trailer. I came into it a bit cynical, but I actually think it's really good. It'll probably, I can't speak for anyone else but me, but it'll probably help switch up, change up the tone and the feel of the MCU currently. I'm still enjoying the MCU movies for what they are, but I do feel like they have less of a tonal variety and less of a, like, just less variety overall with these stories. They're trying to keep them a lot more consistent, because they think that if I make it like a movie that people like, then they'll like this one, which is not really the case. Every movie should go back to being very unique and very distinct, because those are the ones that stand out of the MCU the most, like the Captain America Winter Soldiers in the group, and then the Avengers Endgames and Infinity Wars in the group, all had their own tone and they all stood apart from each other. So I think that this one will as well. Maybe this will carry the year for MCU releases, but personally, I don't think, you know, people aren't looking for MCU movies as much as they used to, so that they don't have to drop as many movies as they used to be completely honest. Like, I think they got themselves up to 3, like a mandatory 3 movies a year. And I honestly don't think we need 3 Marvel movies every year anymore. Maybe 2. And then in some cases, 1 is fine, because we still have the TV shows. We still have like there are a lot more Marvel TV shows than people think. We got Echo on Disney Plus, but then there's also Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur out right now on Disney Channel, I believe. I think we get more than enough Marvel content now that we don't need the same amount of 3 releases every year. But I can't wait for July 26th when Deadpool and Wolverine comes out. By then we'll have a little bit more. We'll have more teasers, more trailers, more of an idea of where the story is going to go. But I think, I think it kind of gave us enough with that when they gave Deadpool the keys to his reality in a way, and now he can go anywhere in the MCU and mess it up. That's kind of what we expected for his entry into the MCU to be, and I'm glad that they're kind of holding to that. But we will have to wait and see if it impresses as much as I now think it will. Good first trailer, but, if I don't like it, you'll see that in the final review. So I'll pass it over to myself in the future after July 26th when I have seen the final film, Deadpool and Wolverine, and I can tell you guys what I think about it. So, J-Rod in the future, where's my time machine thing? Is this it? Bye, Yukio. Man, they were pretty nice, those two. Oh yeah, so here I am. What is up, everybody? I am back. So yeah, I just decided to use Cable's time travel watch just to fast forward to the part where I actually saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and now I can give you guys a full review of it. We're going to start with my spoiler-free thoughts of the film, just in case you still haven't seen it. I'll give you a little bit about why you should or shouldn't see it. Then I'm going to get into spoilers. We're going to get into the details, the nitty-gritty, and all of that. And then we're going to get up out of here. So just to start off with my spoiler-free thoughts of Deadpool and Wolverine, it's really good, guys. It's really, really good. Now, at first I was skeptical. Then I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, actually, this looks like it could still be good. But it is even better than I thought during my first reaction. There are some things that I didn't expect them to do that they really did, and not only that, they nailed. There were some things that I expected them to do, and I think they still even improved on or did better than I thought they would. And all in all, spoiler-free, should you go see it? What do I think? What are my thoughts? It is so good. It's very good. It's hard to say if I think that this is my favorite of the 3 Deadpool movies, but it very well could be. It very well could be. I think that this has the best story of all 3 of the Deadpool movies. I think it's the most well-rounded film of all 3 of the Deadpool movies. And it does such a good job with the emotional stakes and the emotional storyline while still giving us an extremely funny and outrageous film. Like, I think the fact that this movie is funny, has a lot of jokes, and has a lot of like wild out there humor that you do not expect. That was expected. But the more emotional parts and the fact that there was really a heartfelt story in this film for Deadpool and for Wolverine, that is the part that caught me off guard. And I think delivering on both of those fronts at the same time is why I really think that this is probably the best Deadpool movie that they've done thus far. But it does zig and sometimes where you expect it to zag, and it does kind of take some of our expectations and subvert them completely. And I respect them for it. I always love when movies do that. Some people don't. They want to go into a movie where it just, everything you expect it to be, it is. But I just love the fact that a movie, it's a 50-50. When you have this certain expectation, like, I think that the movie is going to go left, it could go left or it could go right. Either way. And I love, I don't think it has to go left or right. I love the fact that it makes a choice. It stands on its choice. And then the end of the film, when it's all said and done, you can see that I think that the choice that they made was the best one for the film. And that's how I feel about Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that the choices they made for this story were the best ones for the story. And that even though, maybe I would have done some things different, or I expected some things to be different, I'm glad that they went their way. I'm glad that they did their own thing with this film. I'd recommend anybody go see it. Some of the questions that I had during the trailer reaction, I can answer here without spoiling it. I was wondering, can this Deadpool film carry the MCU for 2024? Because this is the only MCU film of the year. And I think, yes, it can. It is. It currently is. And it will for the entire year. We do not need another MCU film this year. I think the next one we have coming is the next Captain America film, which we did get a trailer for before I saw, before the movie started. And I also already reacted to it for a future first and final video. But I don't think we need another MCU film for this entire year. This one stands apart. It stands alone. And it goes to show that we probably don't need to do the 3 movies every year anymore. Because it's back to quality over quantity. If we can get 1 great movie or 2 great movies a year, that will definitely stand up more than 3 movies that are sort of becoming formulaic, mediocre, and not really required, not really asked for. Other things, superhero fatigue. Are we getting superhero fatigue? Are we getting multiverse fatigue? And are we getting Deadpool fatigue? I think that those are all valid concerns. But this film, I didn't feel any of that. I didn't feel superhero fatigue, multiverse fatigue, or Deadpool fatigue. And it had all of those things. It had a lot of superheroes. It had a lot of multiverse ideas, properties, and concepts. And of course, it had a lot of Deadpool because it's a Deadpool film. And I didn't feel fatigued by any of it. It actually felt refreshing. It felt very new in a lot of senses. And I think that it just goes to show the fatigue is just about, not so about how many movies we get, but about the quality of the movies. Again, quality over quantity. And this one had enough quality to really renew my love for the characters, continue my love for superheroes, because I kind of never gave up on superhero films. And yeah, this was just one. This was one of them ones, I will say. I think the one last thing, because I think everything else here that I'm going to answer when we get into the spoiler territory. So I think there's one last thing I can say about this movie without getting too much into spoilers. But another thing I loved about this film is that the trailer did not overshare at all. The trailer, when I compare what we got in that first trailer to what we actually got in the full film, I think the trailer did a great job of hiding all of the crucial information and details so that we were still very surprised when we went and saw this final film. I think it gave us enough to see the path where it's going, but it also just hid all of the major surprises. And this movie has so many surprises, so many cameos, and so many things that I want to talk about. So we're going to talk about it now. This is going to be your official spoiler warning. I'm about to get into the spoilers of Deadpool and Wolverine, and we're going to talk more about the whole thing, the whole shebang, the kit and the caboodle. And yeah, I'm very excited. So if you have not yet seen Deadpool and Wolverine, this is your last chance to get out of here. This is your official spoiler warning. You have been warned. So let's get into it with the spoilers. So I think that okay, so getting into spoilers, and another question that I had for myself when I was watching my first reaction of the trailer is their use of the TVA. And I was curious about their use of the TVA, basically retreading the same waters from Loki. But if I'm being completely honest, I think that Deadpool and Wolverine actually makes a better use of the TVA and its properties than Loki did. Now, I'm happy that we had Loki as a foundation for the TVA, but it's not a required reading. I went and saw this film with my brother and my dad, and I'm pretty sure neither of them have seen either season of Loki. So this was their first time experiencing the TVA, whereas I had seen both seasons of Loki. So there were a lot of other Easter eggs, like Wumi Masaka and her, what is her, Hunter B3, I think is her character. She had a cameo in this film as well. We're going to talk a lot more about cameos because there are a lot of them. But when she popped up, I was very excited to see her, and I was also excited that they actually tied in the mainstay TVA, the TVA that we know, to the TVA that exists in Deadpool. Now, it did seem like they were doing a multiversal version of the TVA, but actually no, it was the same TVA, but this one was kind of like rogue agents of the TVA, let's say, doing an unsanctioned off-site mission, which I thought was a really good use of the TVA. But the way that they utilize the TVA, the Void, Alioth, in this Deadpool film was amazing. And I think that that's going to get us into the main crux of the story, the main story detail. So I guess let's get into it. Now, one thing I am surprised about with this film, we all knew that this was going to be Deadpool's first film under Disney, under the traditional MCU, mixed into the same universe as all of our main MCU characters. But the use of Disney Marvel was very, very tame and very, very light in this film, where it relied a lot more on those Fox properties that we thought were dead and gone. But this movie was really a swan song, a final goodbye to those Fox properties. In some cases, not even a goodbye, because I think they left the door open for some of those characters to return. But this is really a love letter to 20th Century Fox. There were hints of that in the trailer when, you know, we saw Deadpool and Wolverine fighting in front of the 20th Century Fox logo, but I could not imagine how deep they were going to get into it. So I think that we started off with the conceit that we got in the trailer, that Deadpool was going to work with the TVA. They needed him for a special mission, and if he got it right, he could go to the main 616 universe, the sacred timeline, and join the known Avengers characters. But that was basically just like the first act. That was just the setup, where this quickly became like Deadpool visiting the island of misfit toys that is the Marvel Fox properties. Hold on, I'm burying the lead a little bit, because I think the first major cameo in this film is Wolverine himself. I think that we have to talk about the fact that, so they did, in a way, actually keep the continuity of Wolverine in 20th Century Fox. So the Wolverine that died in Logan is still dead. And even though we kind of dug his corpse up in the beginning of this film, they didn't actually change anything of that story, but we did get another multiversal version of Wolverine. After searching through several multiversal versions of Wolverine and going through a bunch of comic Easter eggs, which I thought were really good, we landed on our Wolverine that we were using for the purposes of this story. And yes, I gotta talk about the Henry Cavill Wolverine was also in there. The really short Wolverine was actually my favorite. He was so tiny, and I think that that's a comic accurate height for Wolverine. And now I can see why we're not doing a comic accurate height, because it looked hilarious. But once we finally get our Wolverine, we find that he's actually, they call him the worst version of Wolverine in the multiverse, because we did need some sort of redemption arc. So we found a Wolverine that was down on his luck, that had actually not saved the day and come through in the end, but he had kind of messed everything up, and now in his universe, he is the last standing X-Men because he wasn't there to save the rest of them. This was really good, and it paid off so well in the end, because we got to go on this arc with this version of Wolverine where he really was sad. He was deeply sad. He was depressed. He didn't know how to fix his universe. And in the end, he didn't, but he did figure out a way to recover and move on from the tragedies that happened in his universe. But for the purposes of this film, this Wolverine is the exact same Wolverine that we have come to know. I mean, he acts the same. He's just as hilarious, just as grumpy, and he's just as ferocious when it comes down to them fighting. This movie being R-rated is, you know, we expect it from Deadpool because all his movies are R-rated, and the character just works better in rated R. But Wolverine also works so much better with that R rating. Now, I think Logan was R-rated, but this is so much more brutal. He was allowed to really just let loose, not hold back, not pull any of his punches. He went claws to the wall, is what I will say, in this film. And the way that they were able to still choreograph like really good fight scenes with the violence and the healing factor, I could watch Wolverine and Deadpool fight all day, and literally they do fight all day in this film. They could fight all day because of their healing factors. I thought it was great, and honestly, we didn't need much plot because it was just so cool to watch this fight between Deadpool and Wolverine. But that leads us into our first couple of Void cameos, starting off with Chris Evans as the Human Torch. I love the way they set this up. I kind of saw it coming because Deadpool was like hell-bent on this being Captain America. So I'm like, yeah, that's definitely going to be Human Torch. I love the misdirection, and I love the reveal. And then not only that, but Human Torch is immediately met with this gang of Mad Max X-Men refugees that are in this void. Like, all of the 20th Century Fox characters are basically sent to the void because they're not needed anymore. And the first one, or the one who takes down Human Torch, is Pyro. That was such a really good use of writing, such a really good, like, just comic, unexpected kind of comic crossover, is that Johnny Storm kind of does his heroic thing. You think he's going to have a moment, and Pyro is right there to immediately douse his flame. I thought that that was really cool, but that also leads into a bunch of other cameos we get here. Sabretooth, Toad, but those are the only ones I remember. Sabretooth, Toad, Pyro, in this first little Mad Max style scene. And then Johnny Storm, which alludes to the Fantastic Four. I think he's the only Fantastic Four character we get here, but that alludes to the fact that Fantastic Four also kind of exists in this void. But there was just cameo after cameo popping up appearance, and a bunch of people actually reprising their 20th Century Fox X-Men roles, and I loved seeing it. It's basically like, obviously these aren't, for a lot of people, the pivotal versions of these characters. Oh, there was also Azazel, which I thought was a really good Easter egg too. Yeah, these aren't like the favorite versions of these characters, and a lot of people want them to be rebooted and redone in the MCU. But they use them all so well. I love seeing them all, and I'm glad they all got their final moments to shine in this film before just being kind of cast away and forgotten with the, ushering in of the MCU. Deadpool and Wolverine get into another fight while they're on their way to the Resistance. And another really good fight scene. This is the one where they are literally fighting all day. And I think that Wolverine wins in the end because Deadpool kind of gets tied up in this what was a Hyundai Sonata, in this minivan's like seatbelt. But the fight scene was so good. I love how they used all of the car.
This isn't a car. This is a Honda fucking Odyssey.
They were fighting each other all day and night. Deadpool was breaking his limbs and regenerating them. They were stabbing each other up. It was really good. Also, they gave Deadpool adamantium katanas, and they made sure to tell us that so that he could actually have a chance and compete with Wolverine and his adamantium claws. But the next batch of cameos, the ones that people have been talking about and will be talking about for years to come, the Resistance themselves. Now, we're just going to get into it. The Resistance is comprised of Jennifer Garner as Elektra, reprising her role. Wesley Snipes as Blade, reprising his role. Channing Tatum as Gambit for the first time in live action. And everyone, I think those three are the biggest ones. Everyone has their favorite. Everyone was going crazy. Like, Jennifer Garner was so unexpected and such a surprise. But when you're just, you don't even have time to react to that. And then Blade just walks in. And the sound effects and the walk and the reveal is just so good. Everyone's going crazy. And then Gambit walks in. Everyone is going even crazier. He's hilarious in this movie. The accent is so funny. It's so memorable. I loved Channing Tatum's Gambit, and it makes me wish that we got more of it. But I think everyone kind of is stuck on those three cameos, but me, I absolutely loved seeing Daphne Keane return as X-23. I am a huge fan of X-23. I read a couple of comics when she was Wolverine, because Wolverine had died. He came back eventually. He's Wolverine. But when Wolverine had died in the comics and X-23 took over as Wolverine, I read a bunch of her run, and there was like a whole clone saga with a bunch of different Laura Kinney clones. I absolutely loved seeing her back as X-23. I think she did an amazing job just bringing one of my favorite characters to life. And she had all of the knowledge of Logan's storyline. So she is actually, from the original Logan, the Logan that we grew up on, and the X-Men that we know and love. She is from that timeline. And she brings a lot of that into the story and is kind of like the Yoda for this version of Wolverine. He is almost completely like detached from the story at this point. He's given up. He just wants to drink and die. He doesn't really know how to die as Wolverine, but he's like, man, if I could die right now, I would. And Laura Kinney is really the one that kind of brings him back and brings him out of it, which makes so much sense for their characters, because he says, I'm not the one. I'm not the person. I am not the person you are looking for. I'm the wrong guy. And she says, you are always the wrong guy. Regardless of which version of Wolverine you pick, it's always an uphill battle. You're always trying to skate uphill, as Blade would say.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
But the difference, I think, is not which Wolverine it is. It's, are you going to be the Wolverine? Are you going to step into that light? Are you going to make up for what happened on your universe and be that hero? And he does. In the end, obviously, Wolverine does step up. He becomes that hero. And just like I said, they did a really good job rounding out this Wolverine story arc, because we got his like downtrodden fallen, hard on his luck, rock bottom version of Wolverine. A little bit of that, okay, I have a little bit of optimism, maybe I can fix everything. Then he goes back to being downtrodden, down on his luck, maybe even worse off than ever. And then boom, he's like, no, I'm snapping out of it. I will be the hero. I will be the, what do they call it? Anchor being of this universe. I will be the Nexus being, and I will make it happen. And there is a really cool epic fight scene at the end between the Resistance and all of the X-Men that work for Cassandra Nova. I didn't get much into Cassandra Nova's, her backstory, her powers and all that, because if I'm being completely honest, it doesn't matter. I think there could have been almost any character standing in as the villain of this thing. Basically, Deadpool and Wolverine are their own villains. Like, it really just took them trying to figure out the situation, stop fighting each other, and buckle down and make it happen. But parallel to Wolverine's arc of trying to get over and become the hero that he was meant to be, Deadpool has a very similar arc. He starts off this film trying to become an Avenger. It doesn't work, so he completely gives up on being Deadpool. So there's a similar arc for Deadpool here of him saying, I gotta do it. I gotta be the guy. I gotta become bigger than myself and take something seriously for a change. And he's kind of motivated by that throughout this film. And that motivation, I would say, probably rubs off on Wolverine because Deadpool never really hits the same sort of rock bottom. He's always Deadpool. He's always chipper. He's always having fun and joking around. But a lot of the things that people say about him not taking it seriously and not being Avengers material, he actually does take some of that to heart, and it's about him getting over that and being the hero himself. So I think that this was a really good, like I said, the emotional stakes and the internal conflict is just as good as the external conflict in this film for Wolverine and for Deadpool. And I liked seeing them actually care. You know, these two characters don't always care. They're kind of known for not caring, not really giving a fuck. I like to see them actually give a fuck in this film. And that carries over from this part of the film all the way into the end. After this is about them kind of giving a fuck, putting in that maximum effort, and trying to get back to their universe. But I think that goes to show that, like I said, we expected this to be in Deadpool meets the MCU, Deadpool meets the Avengers, Deadpool crosses over to this universe, but the film is actually about Deadpool trying to hold on to his universe, his people, his story, and not leave all of that behind just for something else. And that is what I'm saying, how they subverted the expectations. They zig where we wanted them to zag. And while a lot of people, if they would have wrote the movie, then they would have just said, and this is the part where Deadpool just says, screw Blind Al and Vanessa and Yukio and Colossus and everyone in his universe, and he goes and takes off for the better universe. But there was really good writing and really good forethought by the writers in this film to say that, no, Deadpool actually really cares about the people in his universe. He wouldn't be the hero he was without them, and so he's doing everything within his power to save them, to preserve them. And in the end, he does. So this is a really interesting point to see where would the Deadpool character go from here. Technically, the door is open for him to go into another universe and deal with those 616 heroes, those sacred timeline heroes, and join the traditional MCU. But this entire movie is about him holding on to his universe. First, it's a swan song to the 20th Century Fox. It gives characters like Wolverine, X-23, Blade, Elektra, and Gambit an opportunity to shine like they never got to in the 20th Century Fox universe. I guess a lot of us were tired of that universe and we wish that it was over already and that we didn't have to deal with it anymore. It goes to show that if you write these characters right, if you use these characters in the right way, it doesn't matter which universe they come from, how their story started. Any character can be useful. Any character can be the hero of the story, can be the cameo that people have been waiting to see, can be the character that gets a standing ovation when they show up in the film. It just depends on how they're used. And this is why I say that Deadpool and Wolverine was a great film. The writing was great, the action was great, and the way that they used characters and story was actually really, really good. All of the creative decisions in Deadpool and Wolverine, I think, worked perfectly for the story. The way that the story shaped up, I think, was great. And the fact that they decided to make it a love letter and a tribute to 20th Century Fox instead of throwing those characters away in the trash, I think was a great directorial decision, a writing decision. I think that the film just succeeds on so many fronts. So that is why I say that this movie can carry the MCU for the entire year. That's why I can say that this film used the TVA and all of its concepts better than even Loki did. And that's why I think Deadpool and Wolverine is a really great film, because it is. I didn't even really talk about all of their use of the multiverse and how it differs from what we've been getting before. They did do that scene of, here's hundreds of Deadpools all fighting each other. And it did, in that sense, it did, like lean into the multiverse tropes that we've been getting from like Spider-Verse, and not even just Spider-Verse, but also Spider-Man No Way Home and other multiversal properties. You got the Council of, the Council of Ricks in Rick and Morty, but then also the Council of Kangs. This is all we're going to say about Kang in this review. But there was also the Council of Kangs in the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And that is something that has become like so much of a trope. They're even doing that in the new Mortal Kombat update with Havoc and a Council of Multiversal Havocs. I think that a lot of properties just take those cool moments from the comics and they take those very visual splash page moments, and they do that and they say, okay, well, the fans are happy now. We don't have to actually think about how we're using these characters, and we don't actually have to put a lot of thought into making all these characters have a purpose and have a meaning and be worthwhile. But I think Deadpool and Wolverine, they actually did put a lot of thought into how they're using their characters, making all of their characters mean something worthwhile. Even Wolverine is not just in this because he's the Nexus being or the multiversal anchor or whatever they call it. He's in this because they found a way to do a really good emotional arc with Wolverine and finish off his story in a way that doesn't completely retcon what they did with Logan and with the other X-Men films, but it actually just puts a nice cherry on top. It gives us one more last hurrah, once around the bend, a victory lap, if you would say, for Wolverine. And not just for Wolverine, for Blade, for X-23, for Elektra, for Channing Tatum's Gambit, and for Deadpool himself as well, and the Deadpool characters. So that is going to be my full review. I think I could talk more about it, but I don't want to be here for too long, and I think I basically said everything that needs to be said. That is going to be it. I don't want this video to be too long, but that is going to be it for my review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I do still have a couple first and finals for the end of the year, including I already recorded my first reaction to Agatha All Along, which will be coming out in October. I think either October or November the show should be done, and then I'll be able to review it and do my Agatha All Along first and final. I did record my reaction for what is it called? Captain America Brave New World. So when that film drops next year, I'll be able to do a first and final for that as well. And if you want to see something that's already done, already made, you can check out my first and final for X-Men 97, which dropped earlier this year when X-Men 97 cleared up. Some similar characters, a lot of other X-Men characters in that, but they went in a completely different direction, completely different tone, and I loved it almost as much as I love this film. Maybe just as much as I love this film. But then there's also non-superhero, non-Marvel things. I did the Vince Staples show for a first and final. I actually recorded a reaction for the Mr. and Mrs. Smith series on Amazon Prime, but I kind of forgot to do a final. So I probably will do that one day and make it a members only video. And then there's also, I did the Mortal Kombat movie. I did Jordan Peele's Nope. I did all of the MCU films from last year. So if you want to check out any of those, then go ahead. They're on my channel. Search First and Final, and I should be the one that comes up. But guys, that is going to be it for this one. So there's only one more thing to do. If you're new here, then you probably don't know what that thing is. But if you've been here before, then you know that we got to, boom, hit me with the 3-hit combo. I need you to smash the like button like the Juggernaut, spear the subscribe button like Wolverine, and kick the notification bell like Deadpool himself for another first and final video. I was really excited to make this one because I was so pleasantly surprised with how good Deadpool and Wolverine was. I wish we can get more Marvel films like this in the future. Now, I'm not really going to talk about the MCU and what I think about the MCU here, because I think it's such a specific case-by-case basis. I wasn't, before this film, I didn't hate the MCU. I actually really liked the Marvels. I liked Thor Love and Thunder. I thought Thor Love and Thunder was really good, contrary to how a lot of people review that film. I gave it a good review. Deadpool, or Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, is one that I really am like 50-50 torn on. I thought there were some great things in the direction and the special effects, but writing and the handling of the multiverse with that one, I think, is where they really fell short. So I'm excited to see where we go with the MCU from here. I'm actually still on board with it. When I get tired of it, I'll be sure to let you guys know. DC looks like it's ramping up for a bunch of, it's been trying to do its own version of the MCU for years now, and while I don't think it's going to be able to catch the success of the MCU, I am excited for some of the DC properties that we have to come. If they can, get back on their live action movie release schedule, then I'll probably be doing some of these first and finals for the DC films in the future. I'm still enjoying a lot of their animated stuff. We got Suicide Squad, Isekai. We just had My Adventures with Superman. Harley Quinn is still really good. And now we have Kite Man, hell yeah, as a spinoff. So yeah, there's that. We will see what comes up next. But for this one, for Deadpool and Wolverine, for my first reaction and my final review, that's going to be it. We're all done here. So guys, thank you for joining me for this video. Consider subscribing if you are new here and you want to see more first and final videos. But also if you want to see other videos, 'cause I do a lot of other videos. We got gameplay videos with Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter, other fighting games you have never heard of. I'm planning on doing another story-based game, like a playthrough, a narrative game, before the year is out. I'm not going to spill what I want to play, but if that game drops and it's playable for me, then we'll check it out. I just played the Marvel Rivals beta. It was really fun. I didn't actually get any footage with it, but I was trying out all the characters, getting my first hands-on with the game. It's really, really fun. And also, by the time this video goes up, I will have my answer of whether or not I'm in the 2XKO Alpha Lab, so I might have content for that coming as well. But that's going to be it for this review and reaction, this two-part first and final. So guys, tell me how you felt about Deadpool and Wolverine. Tell me if you feel me, and I will see you guys next time in another new one. Peace out. Block. This might be my saving grace. Yo, this might be it, y'all. Shit. This might be it, y'all. This player does not block.
I'm here.